AKPA, Bedtime Storytime. AKPA, Bedtime Storytime.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to another episode of AKPA's Bedtime Storytime. Tonight, I will be reading I Love to Sleep in My Own Bed by Shelley A. Jimmy, a little bunny, lived with his family in the forest. He lived in a beautiful house with his mom, dad, and two older brothers. Jimmy didn't like to sleep in his own bed. One night, he brushed his teeth, and before going to bed, he asked his mom, "Mom, can I sleep in your bed with you? I really don't like sleeping in my bed alone." "Sweetie," said Mom, "everyone has their own bed, and your bed suits you just right." "But Mom, I don't like my bed at all," answered Jimmy. "I want to sleep in your bed." "Let's do this," said Mom. "You get into your bed, and I'll hug you, tuck you in, and read you and your brother a story. Then I'll give you a kiss and sit with you until you'll fall asleep." "Okay," agreed Jimmy, and he gave his mom a kiss. Mom hugged Jimmy and read a bedtime story to her three children. During the story, the children fell asleep. Mom gave all of them a goodnight kiss and went to sleep in her bed in her room. In the middle of the night, Jimmy woke up and sat up in bed, looked around, and saw that Mom wasn't next to him. Then he got out the bed, took his pillow and blanket, and sneaked quietly into Mom and Dad's room. He got into their bed, hugged Mom, and fell asleep. They slept like that the whole night until the morning. The next night, Jimmy woke up again. He took his pillow and blanket and tried to leave the room like the night before. But just then, his middle brother woke up. "Jimmy, where are you going?" he asked. Jimmy stuttered. "Nowhere. Go back to sleep." Jimmy quickly ran to his mom and dad's room. He sneaked into their bed and pretended to sleep. But his middle brother was wide awake. When he discovered that Jimmy was sleeping in their mom and dad bed, he was very upset. "So that's the way it is it?" he thought. "If Jimmy is allowed, then I want to also." With that, he got into their parents' bed as well. Mom heard the strange noises, opened her eyes, and saw the two children in bed. She made room for them in the bed by making do with a small corner of the bed for herself. Again, they slept like that the whole night until the morning. On the third night, the same thing happened. Jimmy woke up, took his pillow and blanket, and went to his parents' room. But this time, the oldest brother also woke up. "Something's not right here," he thought to himself, and followed his two younger brothers to Mom and Dad's room. When he saw his two brothers sleeping together with Mom and Dad, he was very jealous. "I also want to sleep in Mom and Dad's bed," he thought, and quickly jumped into the bed. It was really uncomfortable. Mom and Dad didn't rest the whole night, tossing and turning. They tried to find the most comfortable way to sleep. It wasn't easy for the little bunnies either. They turned over and over in the bed until it was almost morning. Then suddenly, boom, bang, the bed broke. "What happened?" Jimmy shouted as he woke up right away. "What are we going to do now?" said Mom sadly. "We'll have to build a new bed," Dad announced. "After breakfast, we'll go to the forest and start working." After breakfast, the whole family went to the forest to build a new bed. After a whole day's work, they had made a big, strong bed out of wood. The only thing left to do was decorate it. "We've decided to paint our bed brown," said Mom. "And while we're painting our bed, you can repaint your beds whatever color you like." "I want blue," said the oldest brother with excitement and ran to paint his bed blue. "And I chose the color green," said the middle brother happily. Jimmy took the color red and the color yellow. He mixed the red with the yellow and made his favorite color orange. He painted his bed orange and decorated it with red and yellow stars. After he finished, he ran to Mom and proudly shouted, "Mom, look at my beautiful bed. I love my bed so much I want to sleep in it every night." Mom smiled and gave Jimmy a big hug. Ever since then, Jimmy has slept in his orange bed every night. Good night, Jimmy. The end. Good night, boys and girls. See you tomorrow for another episode of AKPA's Bedtime Storytime. Bye-bye.
AKPA, Bedtime Storytime. AKPA, Bedtime Storytime.